So let's bring in Mikal Goodman, Administrator of Racial Justice, Town Hall Moderator, and Hannah Mathers. She is the Administration for the Oakland County for Racial Justice, and they're joining us both together on the Oakland County MegaCast. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having us.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, let's start off with Oakland County for Racial Justice. Exactly what is that, and when did you guys start?
Yeah, so we started back in June. We hosted a protest in Waterford. A lot of protests are happening and are still happening and were happening in Detroit. And we realized that racial justice is something that needs to be highlighted as well here in Oakland County. So we had a protest in Waterford with some amazing speakers. And then from there, we realized that there was a lot of momentum for racial justice here. And so we started a group. So right now we're a Facebook group. We're also on Twitter. And our current focus is to empower voters to vote with an anti-racist lens, which means choosing candidates who have an agenda for racial justice.
How do you take it from a protest to policy for change from here on out?
Great question. So I think the protests, the purpose of the protest, in my opinion, was to really raise awareness. A lot of people were talking about it that perhaps were not talking about it before. So I think that that's what that protest in Waterford did. And from there, that momentum hopefully will lead us to the polls, lead us to being really educated voters now and in the future. So I think that that protest was really just to, raise awareness and things like that. So.
And if you don't mind me hopping in, I think it's also really important because, when you learn how to vote for candidates that have an anti-racist agenda, you also learn about, candidates that have a less sensitive or more policies that are detrimental to people of color. So once you learn the difference between those two, now in the future, okay, these policies seem very similar to ones I've seen before that have, hurt and displaced and damaged communities of color, whereas these candidates have been doing things that have genuinely helped out communities of color. So in addition to what we're doing, before we even get into helping write policy or push policy for our own, it's also helping people see the candidates who push and create certain policies so that people know what to look for and what to fight against.
Mikal Goodman and Hannah Mathers with us from Oakland County for Racial Justice, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. On October 15th, you're going to be speaking with 8 different candidates who are on the ballot this November from Oakland, various elections regarding Oakland County and the state of Michigan. Could you explain what this town hall will look like, what will be discussed, and what your organization hopes will be the outcome of this town hall?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So we're really excited. We have both Oakland County Sheriff candidates, both clerk candidates, and both treasurer candidates, as well as the prosecutor, the Democrat candidate for prosecutor, Karen McDonald, and Jim Nash, Water Resources Commissioner. So we're really excited about that conversation. Mikal and another moderator, Tamika, led a wonderful conversation a couple months ago before the primary. And I think that really kind of laid out what voting with an anti-racist lens can look like and should look like, and also started a conversation with candidates and with future government officials about what we expect of them in regards to pushing for racial justice. So I think this next event will do the same thing with those 8 different candidates. Hopefully it's not, hopefully it's just the beginning of the conversation with our future government officials, as well as empowering voters to deeply consider these things as they go to the polls this November.
And coming off of that, it's also really important because we're at a point in time where these questions regarding how certain offices and certain candidates handle racial disparities and outright racial injustice is very important, especially when you look at, sheriff. Of course, they're the chief peacekeeping officer for the entire county, and how they handle, crime all across the board, but especially how they handle it through different communities among different, backgrounds and races is very important. Along with, of course, prosecutor who enforces the laws in the county. So, having these conversations with these candidates early on, before they're even in office, gives voters a chance to see what these candidates stand for before they mark their name on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And also it gives them a chance that, after they're in office, well, did this candidate live up to what they said in this town hall that I watched? It also allows voters to have accountability for their elected officials. If you see that someone didn't follow what they said the first time, you can easily be like, hey, next time I'm not going to vote for them because they backed off on my word. And I think this town hall is very important to making sure that the conversations are being had, and that there's also like a track record or like, kind of like a manuscript of like, okay, this is what they said, this is what they didn't do. How do we remedy that?
I really like the way that Tamika described the accountability process in our last town hall as well, where she just said, like, we gave you this job and now we are reviewing your job. Like, we're giving you a job review at this point. Yeah. And I really thought that was really powerful to think about our leaders as people that we put there, and therefore we have, the responsibility almost to check and make sure that they're doing the job that we voted them in for.
Just to let you know, your camera is blinking as if the battery is going out. So if we lose you, we just want to let people know. But we're going to continue the conversation, and hopefully we can get through this interview with the both of you. A question, are you nonpartisan or are you Democrats?
We are nonpartisan, yes. So as we mentioned about the town hall, we have both Republican and Democratic candidates coming for those three positions that we mentioned. And we recognize that racial justice needs to be in the forefront of all of our government officials' minds, regardless of their party.
How can people participate in this town hall? Is it going to be all just moderator and the candidates, or will there be an opportunity for members of the public to also have some insight and maybe ask these candidates questions as well?
Yeah, so what we've been doing is allowing people who are not moderators or candidates to ask questions. That way that, maybe their specific question will be heard during the town hall and being asked by one of the moderators. So that way we can not only have questions from an admin point of view, but also from the constituents that have to also vote for these candidates. So it's just making sure that we're having a place for people to be able to ask questions. Not to mention, town hall will be held on Facebook Live, which means candidates and voters will be able to ask and comment in real time, which is also still participating.
I'd love to see your passion to the both of you in the upcoming election, and voter education is so important. Do you feel like the younger generation is really getting involved in this upcoming election, and could that be the tipping point as well for some of these candidates?
I think it's very important. The work that I do outside of Oakland County for Racial Justice, I focus very heavily on youth politics, and we're at a point where the youth are heavily involved in what's happening for many different reasons. One of them being that the grandeur and all, the great things that happen to our parents, because I'm 20, I'm very young. All the things that happen to, in our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, aren't necessarily the case for us. So we feel that we have to fight much more early on and much harder to actually get things done. And so with so many youth being involved now, especially in conversations about climate change, of course, and racial justice, a lot of these candidates are going to have to start appealing to younger voters, because the younger voters are also the ones that are more likely to actively either work for or against them. And if we can get all the voters to turn to the polls, it becomes even harder for those candidates to win in office if they don't appeal to those younger voters who really care about these issues.
Hannah, did you want to address that as well?
Well, I just echo what Mikal said. I think yeah, that these are issues that the younger generation are talking about, and perhaps in the past, government officials didn't feel like they needed to answer to the young people as much as maybe they do now. Um, so yeah.
I think it's great that you are also getting involved on the local level. Do you think because of the pandemic, more attention is being focused on our local elected leaders and the decisions that they are making, because those do have such a direct impact on us here on a community level?
What do you think, Mika?
I can go first again.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
paying attention to these local elections are extremely important because a lot of the things that happen in our communities do happen on a much more local basis, whether it be city, county, state, district. A lot of things happen on a much closer level than federal. And so, having these conversations with local candidates, it's, showing voters, these are the people who really have a say in what's happening in your area. I mean, I'm not going to go to, the Department of Justice for something that's happening with the Sheriff's Department in Oakland County. I'm not going to go bang down the governor's door for something that can be handled by the county executive, county treasurer. So making sure that people recognize where these issues are really happening is extremely important.
So we're going to pause you guys just there for a minute because we did lose your picture, but we have not lost your audio. So we're going to just put up a graphic here. So if you guys want to keep talking, go ahead, and if you can pick up the conversation from there, Mikal.
Yeah. So again, it's just backing off what I said originally, like making sure that we focus on where these issues are really taking place and where the solutions really can come from, allows people to direct their energy in a constructive and productive manner, opposed to what usually happens when people see every problem in their country as something that happens, federally. If something happens, let's go to, our state rep, let's go to our senator, let's go, make sure that we vote in the next election for the president. While those are all extremely important to have very big consequences, we have to make sure that we're not wasting energy on things and in places where they could be handled, more efficiently elsewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have nothing to add.
Mikal Goodman and Hannah Mathers with us on the Oakland County Megacast, both of them from Oakland County for Racial Justice. Their town hall with 8 different Oakland County candidates is on October 15th. Just another couple minutes with the two of you before we have to say goodbye. As we're closing this out, just one more time, can you provide the information on how people can access this town hall and participate in the town hall as well later on this week?
For sure. You can find us on Facebook, Oakland County for Racial Justice. You can email us, oaklandcountyforracialjustice@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter as well. OC4RJ is our Twitter handle. And we will be posting that live on our Facebook page and our Facebook group as well. So.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with your town hall, and thank you for your passion for such an important issue. And we're so hoping that so many younger people do get involved in the upcoming election. And I love the conversation that you're having with the local leaders. So thank you to the both of you for all that you're doing here in the Oakland County area.